With Plan B emergency contraception, we're in control of our future. It's backup birth control you take after unprotected sex that helps prevent pregnancy before it starts. It works by temporarily delaying ovulation, and it won't impact your future fertility. Plan B is available in all 50 U.S. states at all major retailers near you, with no ID, prescription, or age requirement needed. Together, we've got this. Follow Plan B on Insta at Plan B One Step to learn more. Use as directed.
What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Will, and you're listening to One Good Scare, the show where we explore our favorite horror movies. Today's episode's a little different than normal. Normally, in part one, I would do a full scene-by-scene breakdown recap of the movie with minimal cut-ins, but for this one, I think I'm going to just forego that scene-by-scene recap. At least for this episode, maybe the next couple of episodes, trying to tinker and see how things play out with a sort of different format. So, no scene-by-scene recap, but I will tell you, this movie had me really pleasantly surprised. And in fact, there were a couple of aspects of the movie that I really, really appreciated. It's dark comedy, humor, horror, mystery, sort of whodunit, all wrapped up into one. And maybe most importantly, this movie was meta before meta was a thing. In fact, this movie came out a whole decade, almost 10 full years, before Scream came out in 1995. So definitely give this one a watch if you've never seen it. Well worth the time. And remember, the goal of One Good Scare is not to replace your viewing experience. It's to enhance it. So if you've never seen this, or if it's been a while, or if you're like me and maybe you mistook the original for the remake, definitely watch April Fool's Day from 1986. You can get it on Amazon Prime, really wherever you stream movies, and it will be well worth the hour and 30 minutes that you spend. Overall, I think the movie seems to have gotten a fair shake as far as reviews go. It sits at a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, which seems about right. 60% Rotten Tomatoes score, and a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which is right at that 60% mark. That seems accurate for this movie. It's a ton of fun. It's a really engaging, really entertaining movie. But at least for me, it was a little different than what I was expecting. And that may be not a turnoff, but it might be something that skews the way you watch the movie, the way you interpret the movie, the way that you maybe even rate or review this movie. All in all, though, a ton of fun, well worth watching, and I really enjoyed it. So we're going to dive right into part two, where I have a special guest with me who recommended this movie, and I think you're going to enjoy our conversation. All right, everyone. So now we're in part two of One Good Scare, where we have our guest. Quick word. Most of you know, I have a co-host, right, Chris, but today I have a special guest. This was pre-scheduled or scheduled before Chris and I recommitted to one another in co-hosting. So I have a special guest, and this movie was actually on the recommendation of this special guest. You know him well. He's got one of the best podcast voices in the game. Josh Bell, co-host of The Couch Critics.
Yes.
Host of a slew of podcasts within his network.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, man, thanks for joining me again.
Thanks for having me back, Will. I'm excited to be talking about one of my childhood favorites.
Yeah, this one is so interestingly enough, Josh, when you recommended it, I could have sworn I had seen it before, but I actually had watched the remake from 2007, which was terrible.
Yes. It was.
And so I rented it. We're talking about April Fool's Day, guys. But so I rented it on Prime. And then yesterday I went to go put a DVD back on my in my movie rack, and I saw that I actually own April Fool's Day.
How funny.
In tandem with another movie on DVD. So anyway, sometimes things get out of control, and you don't realize what you have until you're not looking for it.
The going through, I'm like, oh man, I didn't know I had that. Well, that was $10 I wasted on Amazon.
Yep. Thanks, Amazon. You're getting all my money lately.
Oh yeah.
So watching this one now, I have this like general rule where I watch a movie at least 2 or 3 times before I do it on the show.
Right.
Just so that I have a sense of what I hate. I hate like recency bias.
Right.
Where I watch this movie just now and I immediately take to social media or to a microphone. I'm like, this was the best fucking movie ever, or the worst.
Yeah.
Because it's rarely that.
Right.
The classics exist on one spectrum. The most terrible movies exist on the other. And most movies fall somewhere between those, right?
Absolutely.
So, but I gotta say, Josh, really, really, really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
It was not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And I think that was the point.
100%. This movie, when I watched it as a kid, it was the safe choice for horror movies because this is a spoilery show. The ending of this movie, not the credit scene ending, but just the normal ending of this movie takes away all the Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th feelings. And you're like, oh, everybody's okay. Like it just ends kind of happy. And for a young kid like me to see Biff, Thomas F. Wilson, as a different character was cool for me because I guess Thomas Wilson's like a really cool guy. But the whole thing on the boat just sets up the whole tone of the movie. The one kid he's filming everything. You've got all of them, just all these different people that don't really know each other, but kind of know each other, going out to, Muffy St. John's house on the island. And they're playing with the knife game, throwing it between there's all these little things that are just, they're starting off with a lot of pranks. So they're setting the tone of this movie early and it never stops that tone. Even when it does get slasher-esque throughout the middle, there's still this feeling it works to never let you be comfortable because is this real? Is this not? So there's something about this movie. It takes me back. I could watch it when I was younger. If you watched Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy would scare 8-year-old me. April Fool's Day would be like, okay, I can remember now that this is all pretend and we can have fun.
Yeah. The ending sort of recontextualizes everything else.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So like the second time I watched it, obviously having seen the ending, knowing what was going to happen.
Yes.
I was able to pick up on some of those little tiny details that set you up. I mean, the breadcrumbs are not small either.
Right.
Especially on that second viewing.
Yes. Everything's very obvious. And I think the ending helps to contextualize the way that, because the effects are the makeup effects aren't perfect. They're not amazing. They're not the most grotesque. They work when you don't know the twist. But then when you know the twist, you're like, okay, that explains why this isn't the most perfect gore scene ever. Because it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I love how that works out. Because you're just watching a B movie. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's supposed to be a B movie because that's just a college kid's version of the effect. So, I love how that all works together.
I will make a controversial statement, I guess.
Okay.
Because I sometimes love those. And I don't know. Scream 7 just came out. We're recording this 2 days after release day.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's got Scream and Ghostface on their minds.
Oh, yeah.
And my first thought after watching this the first time was, damn, this was a meta slasher before Scream was a meta slasher.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Maybe not as sharp, no pun intended. Right? Scream was super sharp. Maybe the sharpest slasher that has ever been made.
Yeah.
But this one was smart in its whimsy.
Yes.
Like the way the direction that it went worked super well by the time you got to the end.
Yeah.
you know, and so the subversion of tropes, the dashing of like viewers' expectations. Some people I think would be frustrated by the ending, right? Oh, this was all just a big joke. But the movie, again, realizing what the end was, the movie sort of sets you up for that. It's not like the movie is hiding that idea.
No, and that's just it. Like you said, the breadcrumbs here aren't small, but you don't notice them until they tell you, hey, guess what you missed the whole time.
Yeah.
Because we told you right in the title what this was.
That's true.
We told you in the title. The cover box is literally a girl's hair braided into a noose and a knife behind her back. We knew what we were getting into, and we still fell for it.
I will say something I really appreciated about this movie was the score.
Yeah.
You know, this one alternated between this sort of not comical music, but almost this like lighthearted sort of airy music, and then this deep toned like so I think it did a good job of keeping you on your toes. Like, are we watching something real or fake? Obviously, the ending again contextualizes that score for us.
It does.
But I thought it did a good job of sort of keeping you off balance a little bit to what was happening.
Well, you're right, because every little thing. Well, just in the starting at the very beginning, the whole ferry boat. Like I said, there's all the explode, all of the weird little gags and all of the goofy stuff, and then when I can't remember, is it Buck falls off the boat and he ends up getting apparently crushed, and he's rushed away. Everybody's traumatized. So you've already been given both sides. It's goofy, it's laughing, we're little things, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, wait a minute, is it real? Now what's going on here?
Right.
Now, so you're already off kilter, and you had the light holiday type music. We're on the boat, a bunch of college kids going to have fun. We're going to drink some beer, whatever, and then all of a sudden it's deadly serious. And then we're up at the house with Muffy, and it's no longer serious anymore. Now it's setting. Yeah. Now it's the setup.
Yeah, and I think, Josh, right before Buck gets allegedly crushed by the boat, there was the knife throwing scene where the knife, right, and he falls off the pier, and everybody's rushing, and then all of a sudden it was like, ha ha ha! This is so you have this like right within what, not even 90 seconds of each other. It's these competing scenes,
for sure. Yeah,
yeah. So now, the Scream comparison is not to say this is a better movie than Scream.
This is not Scream. This isn't. And speaking of meta, in my opinion, and I obviously have not seen every movie, but this is kind of the first meta horror.
I agree.
This was the precursor. You always say this one walked so that Scream could run, but this one happened, and it happened in the midst of everything. And then 8 years later, we get Wes Craven doing the original meta, which Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Right.
And he's playing with, now he's taking over and he's playing with it so that Scream could become what it is.
Yeah.
But this is kind of where it starts. There are because this one doesn't play parody. This one plays different than a parody because it is serious the whole time. We're not making jokes about everything. Everything is played serious and real because it is a trick. Right. So it's definitely playing. This is where I think that meta starts to take off. And then you get the things like the rise of Leslie Vernon. You start getting all those other things that take it seriously, but in a more realistic, joking setting. And so I think this is kind of the first one. They wouldn't have called it meta at the time because that's way newer, but it was definitely like, what if this really happened, but it wasn't real? Let's have a vacation where it's a slasher and you get to live in a slasher film for a weekend.
I think what I really liked is that the gags in the movie weren't the actors. The gags were the environment, right? Yes. So like the spraying sink and the whoopee cushions and like just the little things that were included as like a gag.
Yeah.
And were, by comparison to what goes on in the movie, super innocent fun, right? Like, oh, it's April Fool's Day. We're just going to, goof off on each other a little bit. But then you have this like seemingly serious thing happening at the same time.
Right.
And so you're not even thinking, by the time you get to the end of the movie, you're not thinking
You're absolutely
that the actual scenes in the movie were also a gag.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because like Muffy really goes deep on some of this stuff. It's like the crying baby tape and the news clippings. Like she really looked at the past of these people and set up trauma to really mess with them. The financial papers for Hal, Nikki and her bondage gear, like everything is very like she uses her knowledge of these people really well. And then it also takes us, like you said, it now all of a sudden when all this is happening, well, shoot, I'm not thinking about the title being April Fool's Day anymore. I'm thinking, is Muffy messed up? Because she's starting to look a little bit off. She's starting to be more distracted and a little bit maybe crazy. That's a bad term these days, but in 1986, crazy worked.
For sure. And, it's interesting because I feel like even the title of the movie is meta, right? Because the movies that came before it, right? Mm-hmm. Friday the 13th, Halloween, you have these like references to days. Yeah. So it's interesting. If Muffy were a game master, a dungeon master, she would be the best dungeon master ever. I mean, her setup is perfect.
Yeah. She definitely has this all figured out. She knows how she's going to afford to keep the house. I'd go to this house for a weekend. I'd go hang out for this kind of a weird, kind of sadistic little play.
I mean, if I saw an advertisement for something like this back in the day, guys, we used to call them commercials, right? We used to look in magazines and newspapers for that shit, not on our phones. But if I saw something like that, I would at least be intrigued. Like, oh, damn, that sounds super interesting.
Right.
Yeah, kind of like a weekend getaway, but also this immersive gameplay. That sounds sounds
in the late 80s, that was popular because there was this movie a couple of years later on the comedy side, City Slickers. People went out to go do activities, like to go live in a different thing in a movie in this case, or as a cattle driver. That used to be a thing. And you're right. What we skip on YouTube now used to be something we were required to watch.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
Didn't have a choice.
Even the inclusion of Amy Steele in the cast is kind of meta. I hate the word meta, by the way. It just irritates me. But, she of Friday the 13th Part 2 fame, right? Yes. She was Ginny, the one of my favorite final girls in the whole franchise. Yes. She sort of brought back in this again, right? Kind of reclusive setting away from the general population, right? She's running from this unknown killer who she then unmasks at the end. And then instead of coming toe to toe, she realizes, wait a minute, what the hell? This was not, so even that was, felt like a tongue in cheek kind of casting decision,
Oh yeah. Yeah. And all of the characters, like, how funny is this? At least for me, this is what Thomas F. Wilson did as his follow-up to Back to the Future. Griffin O'Neill, right before this or right after, I don't remember which order they came out, did The Wraith. The Wraith is another really fun kind of sci-fi little movie with young Charlie Sheen. This is all of these not all of them, but several of the actors in here are doing plays on characters they were already famous for. So they're just kind of living in that world. It's so much fun though. But you're right. I love Amy Steele showing up again and being the final girl kind of again. She gets to represent that.
It's interesting because, and this is just me, but the 80s were the decade where I feel like the most slasher movies were produced in the history of the world, right? I mean, and with exception of a few, most of them were pretty bad, pretty cheesy. And I wonder if, slashers are just the most inexpensive type of horror movie to make, right? You just turn on the camera, you give somebody a weapon, you put a bunch of people into space, and you just go crazy. Yeah. But I feel like watching, so I was expecting that.
Yeah. And go ahead, Josh. You're right. slashers have to be cheap because like you, one of your favorites, Halloween slasher, you don't have to show the him following you. You just have to show him that he was there. Now he's gone. Now we go about our business. And then all of a sudden now he's there and we have a couple of slashes and we move on. Like, you don't have to have these huge elaborate set pieces. They're simple and they're relatively contained in a house, on a public, just on a normal suburban street. They're not these big, huge locations that you have to deal with until you go to Manhattan.
That's and in this movie, it's interesting. Yeah, the worst. It's the worst. It's Jason Takes Manhattan.
I do like Jason.
One of the worst.
I like the Jason movies. I hate that movie.
Yeah, it's bad. It's Jason takes a dinner cruise around on the Hudson, I guess. It's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, I felt like, there were a couple things too within, and this is stuff I noticed on the second watch, not the first.
Yeah.
By then, by 1986, slashers had become infinitely more gory, infinitely more in your face than they had started out with, right? Like even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is tame in terms of gore comparatively to movies, right? To others.
Absolutely.
Halloween, the same thing. It was. I don't think Friday the 13th was comic-y gore. I felt like very low budget gore. But then by the time we hit A Nightmare on Elm Street in 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street was gory, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Way gorier than all the others combined. I even felt like the subversion of the slasher genre is found in the complete lack of gore in this movie. With the exception of the end scene with Nikki in the room where we see blood dripping down or we see him holding his crotch, that kind of thing. There's really no blood. There's no overt gore. We really don't even see the killer.
No. Yeah. We never really, you're left to decide that she was the killer. Yeah. That her and was it Buck, the first guy that dies, right? He was the one doing all the makeup. But like that the first death, because the eye thing is it's not gory, it's not bloody, but the eye thing, and then there's none. It's like what is it? He falls through the floorboards, and there's all these just little things that happen, but nothing is gory. There's some jump scare aspect to it. It's quick, but there's never like. This is only rated R because they dropped the F-bomb a few times. Like, it is pretty mild.
Yeah, even the F-bombs and even like the sexual innuendos are pretty tame.
Right.
That's the other thing. By 1986, slashers had turned into not just gore fest, but they had turned into horny movies, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
1986 was right in the middle of the whole, like, a horror movie had to have the 3 Bs, right?
Right.
Beasts, blood, and boobs. And this one doesn't have any of those things.
No.
And it works really well.
It really does. This might be one of my favorite horror movies at this point, only because it's so unique.
Yeah.
And again, considering the time frame it was released, it was such an outlier.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's on my list of favorites because of rewatchability. And again, like if I'm putting down a list of the horror movies that I watch the most, not like the best horror movies everywhere, because then you're getting into movies I'm only going to watch once or twice.
Sure.
But of movies that with a rewatchability or another, so you just showed somebody the gate and they handled the gate. Your next step is give them something like an April Fool's Day, because that's kind of the next logical step in the training of a young horror fan. Like you're
Agreed.
This is that next logical step, because it does get it gets a little bit meaner the way that the kills happen. You don't see the kills, but it's a little bit more. It's more adult, not meaner. It's more adult. So this is just like those next steps, and I think those are a lot of fun. This is one that, like The Gate, my wife will actually occasionally allow me to turn on with her in the room. She hates horror.
I get it.
Hates them.
Mine does too. and we have to be super selective on the ones that we consider, and definitely the ones we watch.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like this one would be a good stepping stone kind of
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah.
And even for me as a horror fan, it's just the reality that over time, horror movies have become smarter. They've become
Mhm.
deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But there are times where I don't want to activate my brain cells to watch a movie, where I
Absolutely.
just want to watch something
Mhm.
purely entertaining. This
Yeah.
is that kind of movie.
Yeah.
You know, you're
Absolutely.
not gonna dissect this movie for major themes, or
No.
but you're gonna watch it and enjoy an hour and 25 minutes of
Mhm.
just mayhem and like good fun.
Yeah, still you're not watching this for amazing acting. You're not watching
Mhm.
this for special effects. You're watching this. I call it a cold Sunday afternoon. It's a storm outside. You're going to sit in and watch a
Yeah.
movie. This is the movie you put on because it's fun and it fits
Yep.
it just, yeah. And then, yeah, but the ending, my favorite ending is the second ending with the Jack in the Box.
Oh yeah.
'Cause
Where she
then-
goes back to the room.
Yeah, when now you get to now, was it all just fun, or
Uh-huh.
is there another trick left? Did somebody not take kindly to your jokes?
Yeah.
I do like that it has
It's-
that kind of, hey, wait a minute, it might not be over.
Yeah. It's a tables turning, right?
Yeah.
How the turntables, as
Yeah.
the Office would tell
Yeah,
us, like,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And it just lends to me,
Mhm.
it lends to the satisfaction of the film.
Absolutely.
It's super satisfying by the
Mhm.
time you get done, like, oh, what? And you just wonder, like, what happens now? What happens next? You know?
Yeah. I did like, so you mentioned the sequel, or not the sequel, the remake, the reboot or whatever. I do wish that this was not so white. I like that.
Oh, that's true.
They
Yeah.
do try because you can play on those stereotypes without being mean or disrespectful.
Sure.
There's something about having a black character in a movie like this, because it gives you that extra, like, stereotypically, without being mean, you get the, oh hell no reaction. And
Sure.
having those other viewpoints, I think, if done properly, which the remake was not, because the remake tried to be more serious.
Sure.
And if you had done this kind of tone, but with a more representative cast, maybe having a handicapped character or something, like just some of those different things
Sure.
to give it some depth, I think that's the remake this movie needed. And I guess there's a rumor that there is a script for a sequel out there somewhere that Deborah Foreman
Okay.
really wanted to make, but it just never happened.
Interesting.
But-
I always, Chris and I, whenever we talk about movies from, like, especially the 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
there's always this either discretionary note or like caveat of,
Mhm.
hey, we're really watching movies that weren't as progressive as we are now,
Right.
in terms of
Mhm.
even grasping the importance of,
Oh yeah.
diversity, equity, inclusion in
Mhm.
casting and,
Right.
and storytelling, and,
Mm-hmm.
avoiding stereotypes. I did notice that these are obviously wealthy characters, right?
Yes,
These are,
yeah. They're going to private
some-
university. They're gonna go.
Right.
They're gonna go
Right.
stay at a mansion on the lake for a
Right.
weekend.
They're all, as college students, they're ready to graduate into med school and
Yes.
finance
Yeah.
and like well-to-do, sort of professions and
Mhm.
careers. So there definitely is that lack of. You'll notice
Yes.
it almost immediately.
Yeah.
But there's also, I wonder if there's a part of me that, because slashers especially tend to be tropish,
Yes.
right? You
Oh,
get
for
you
sure.
get character archetypes.
Mm-hmm.
You get the jock, and you get the this
Yeah.
one and that one, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if this movie, even in showing us a
Mhm.
predominantly white cast, if
Yeah.
even that is intended to subvert the genre a little bit, right?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
does that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So the way when you described it as these are rich kids, it actually it makes it, looking at it from that frame of references, I'm playing a trick on all of you spoiled rich
Yeah.
kids, and that does give it
Yeah.
a kind of an extra bite. And I like thinking about it that way.
And it's interesting too, because again, this is just recognizing the stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
let's be fair.
Mhm.
Rich white people are supposed to know better,
Right.
right?
That's what
You
society
have money,
tells us.
you have privilege, you have
Mhm.
all the resources at your disposal, and look at you falling for
Yeah.
right for
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
You're just the same as everybody else. So I wonder if
Yeah.
even there, whether it was intentional or not, and
Right.
directors are smart people.
Yes.
They make art. We're not. So
Mhm.
I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm smarter than the writers and directors. But I wonder if even that was like, hey, all the money in the world isn't going to save you from your own stupidity.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so
No,
here's
and
how
that's
we're going to prove
definitely a
that.
great way to read this. Because these are all very well, I think, well, not all of them. I think one of the characters specifically talks about how they're not the rich one. I think it's her cousin, the one who plays Muffy's cousin. But they specifically do tell us that these are all rich, kind of spoiled kids. So that definitely a director and a writer are not going to take the time to tell us that these people are that way if they're not telling us something about the people that are that way. And you're right. Yeah. And that's the other thing is a lot of times in movies like this, I don't think because it's light, we don't give the director and the writer credit for trying to tell us something bigger.
Yeah.
And I think he does in this. Fred Walton,
I think so too.
Or whatever his name is.
I think so too. I think as smart as this movie was, I can't imagine that even the casting choices weren't purposeful. And there's something to be said for avoiding inclusion for its own sake, right? Because you can still stereotype or typecast a character, an ethnic character,
right,
to the lowest denominator of who we understand them to be, right? And
absolutely,
there's a part of this where I could even appreciate the fact that, hey, this was a pretty, and is a very white cast with a very white sort of stereotype.
Yes.
In how these characters are set up and who they are, where they come from, what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I think for this one, it didn't bother. I noticed it, but it didn't bother me.
No, I was
that
just
it
thinking,
lacked a certain diversity.
Yeah. And having watched this as a child, I never noticed it because if you can't tell by my voice and everything, I am very white. I didn't notice it because everybody just looked like me. I just think if you're going to remake this movie, you need to play into that. And you're right. But if you're going to play into it, you got to go opposites. You can't have the black character as the dumb jock. He needs to maybe be he's the Ryan Coogler. He's the really smart filmmaker guy. Maybe he's your makeup art. Like you have to play with those things as well. But you're right. Watching this, I never really thought about it until watching it this time, how stinking white this movie is. Like, and it's everything. And I don't mean just the cast. Everything is bright. Everything it is a very bright white movie, which is weird for a slasher. This isn't a dark, moody Nightmare on Elm Street slasher, even though it's only 2 years later.
Which might, now that you mention it, I don't think I noticed it. And lighting is usually something I pay attention to. Yeah. But I think because, and maybe again, this is just maybe the brilliance of the movie, because it didn't factor into the scares. Yeah. That part of my brain just shut off and said, well, this was just a choice.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, Halloween is set at night in the shadows, right? Even the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though most of it happens during the day, the inside of the house is super gloomy.
Yeah.
Right outside, gloomy inside. Yeah,
the windows are all covered over. Their rooms are packed full of stuff, and it just gives it that grainy feel. This just looks like the Airbnb you rented for your whole family.
100%. 100%. This looks like a place I would rent for a getaway for like a Valentine's weekend.
Sure.
To say, hey, we're going to stay at this big ass house, bright windows, lots of sunlight. It's going to be beautiful. And seeing that, there was nothing foreboding about the house itself. And even the fact that when they started interacting with the house, the fact that it was gaggish.
Yeah.
Right. So, pulling doorknobs off the doors and you almost got this like whimsical sense of what the environment was, but you contrast that with what actually happens. And now you're you've got this like weird tension, right? The house itself is not the problem. It's what's in the house.
It's what's there.
You know? Yeah. Characters are not like peeking around corners or dark corners because they're worried about what's behind a door. Like none of that happens in this movie. And so, super smart movie. Way smarter now that I think about it than I did even an hour ago when we started.
And how weird is it that this movie, the writer Danilo Bach, this is the second movie he wrote. He wrote the story for Beverly Hills Cop, and then followed it up with this.
Okay, it's just real so interesting.
It's just to me that was weird to think about, because then he follows this up with he was an uncredited script doctor on a cop drama Someone to Watch Over Me with Tom Berenger. So he was all over the place doing the stuff he was doing. That, and I love that kind of, like, this is just this was written by somebody who is literally paid to write. Like he's not Stephen King. He's just like, hey, I need you to come in, fix this up, do this thing for me. This is what I'm doing. Go make this thing. And I love the working writer aspect of where this story comes from.
That's interesting. Shout out to screenwriters, because I've always, like, in my fanciful part of my brain, I'm always like, oh, I would love to write a movie. But then, like, it's one thing to, like, think about it, another thing to sit down and be like, what the fuck am I going to write about? What kind of story am I going to tell? And that's usually the point of, like, discouragement, where you sit down and then you put your hands on the keyboard and you're like, oh no, like, what the hell am I doing here? So for screenwriters who actually do this stuff, I don't care how good or bad your screenwriting is, or how good or bad your movie is. The fact that you've produced something, super respect, because
when I sit down to write, it's always, I had this idea and then I thought the idea was great, and I start writing, and all of a sudden in the process of writing, something stupid happens. I'm like, well, that one's done. And I'm off track. I can't delete that line and go back. Like, nope, the story went here and that doesn't work. So now I'm done with this one. Yeah.
Although, Josh, in fairness, I've read through your novella that you sent last week for the Red Treehouse. This is a complete side note, guys.
Different podcast.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Super atmospheric. Yeah. And I love atmospheric stories that are like, sort of give me a chance to narrate through that atmosphere.
Right.
So I was thinking about doing it in one episode, but I'm going to do it in two.
Yeah.
Just so that
it's what is it? 18,000 words or something. So
I think it was 24. If it were 18, I think I would do it in one. That's about an hour and 25 minutes, but with 24, I'm going to do it in two.
That may have been, the third draft may have been 18. The fourth, because I think I sent you the fourth draft.
You did. And I loved it. So I'm gonna push through and do it in two. And it's not easy, man. It's not easy to sit down. Like, the stories I have in my head that I would love to put down on paper, I sit there and I'm like, I could tell you this story, this plot summary in 4 minutes.
Right.
This is what the story is. This is where it goes. This is how it ends. But then to sit down and flesh that out and, like, put description and prose and dialogue, and it's like, oh my God, this is infinitely harder than it sounded.
I have a much easier time with dialogue, but I purposely try to take it out of my stories, because I'll turn into, like, not nearly as good. I'm not comparing myself to these people, but I will turn into Quentin Tarantino and just start talking too much.
Oh man.
I'm not saying that I would not do it as good as he can do it, but I will get real wordy and start having these big, long conversations about nothing, because that's the kind of stuff I enjoy. I love sitting down with you. I don't mind that either. Just having conversation, but I don't think it reads as well.
Guys, I know this is off topic, but it's kind of not, because we were just talking about screenwriting. So you'll just bear with us.
Bear with.
But, for me, narrating, right? Dialogue can be easy when there's not 20 characters talking in a group, or, even 5 characters talking back and forth, sort of cutting each other off. But I find that, and this is true of a lot of stories that I narrate that were written 100 years ago that are in the public domain.
Mhm.
Writing good dialogue is super difficult.
Right. Mhm.
You know, without becoming too explanatory or over-explanatory or too like, well, this is what I'm doing, right? Which kind of feels redundant.
Yes, where you become a vocal narrator of your actions. Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of old stories, especially,
Mhm.
they narrate through the dialogue, which is really difficult.
Yes.
The prose is not as, in some cases, is not as strong
Right.
as stories that are written now, where
Mhm.
the prose sort of directs the action and the dialogue like informs it a little bit,
Yeah,
or
for
fills it out. Guys, I'm not a literary critic or anything, but it's just from a purely
I'm an
narration
illiterary
standpoint.
critic. I'm an illiterary critic.
I mean, more that than not.
Well,
You know,
But speaking of writing, this was I do feel like that this movie, April Fool's Day, back to the movie, pulling it back there, it definitely lives in as far as the writing in a similar world as something like Clue, maybe a little more serious.
literally, that was my comparative for this movie.
So Clue was the year before. I can't help but think that the screenwriter Danilo Bach watched Clue and was like, what if that's a horror movie? Like,
Yeah.
there is definitely some influence there. Big house, moving from different things happening in different rooms.
Yeah.
And none of it is overly serious, but every character is taking it serious.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of carryover there. So Clue definitely,
for sure.
And then in modern movies, this movie I think informs things like you get a happy death day because of something like this. I don't know if you ever watched the TV show Psych. But the TV show Psych,
for sure.
in one of their seasons, they actually have an episode called Tuesday the 17th. And the first half of the movie is essentially it's April Fool's Day, except at a summer camp. And they even call it out that this is April Fool's Day. This isn't really happening. Like, it shows up in pop culture references through other things. It is a lesser known slasher, I think, April Fool's Day, but it is definitely those that know it informs later content.
Yeah. I think so. You mentioned the movie side, the comparatives on the movie side. For me, on the book side, I think of books like The Westing Game. And I think of like And Then There Were None.
That's the Indians. One. Yeah, 10 Little Indians, and then 10 Little Indians if you want the racist version, and Then There Were None if you want the rebranded version.
Yes,
but
for sure.
That's the one that Agatha Christie, that specific story is the one that I saw most referenced on here, which is essentially there is no crime at the end, like all of this stuff happening. Not to give away 100-year-old book, but that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's the most common literary reference that I see about this.
Guys, this one was it was really a great movie.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have a point of reference for it, or if someone were to recommend it and be like, hey, you should watch April Fool's Day, I think you would look at it or watch a trailer, read a summary, like a quick synopsis, and be like, this sounds kind of or you might pass over it. But I'm telling you, I was super pleasantly surprised with this one.
And for those of us our age, and we remember going to video stores like a Blockbuster or your family video store, the cover box it shows Muffy from behind. There's the party goers in front of her. She's got a knife behind her back and her hair braided into a noose. That, like, as a kid, that's the box you wanted to grab. You wanted to grab that movie. It was So don't read anything about it. Listen. I mean, well, if you've listened this far, you're too late. But if you just came in right now, no, give it a watch. Don't think about it. Don't expect it. Just go in and turn it on and just watch.
This is the movie at Blockbuster that would have intrigued me.
Yeah.
And if I had rented it, I would have been a little anxious to watch it. And then I would have been completely set up within the first 10 minutes. I would have been like, oh, this is a little bit more gaggish, a little more satirical, right?
Yeah.
And then I would have been super on edge because
Yeah.
it gets serious
Yeah.
seeming.
Well, as soon as Buck
you
falls
know.
off the boat, you're like, oh, wait,
Right.
hold on.
That music changes, the
Yeah,
whole
everything-
scene changes, the tension
You're like, "Dang
ratchets
it,
up.
what
Like,
is this?
yeah. So let me just say as an add-on, as an
Yeah.
addendum, the male characters in this movie, hated them at first.
Yeah. They're all
first.
dumb as hell.
Dumb, horny, stupid
Yeah.
guys.
How is Thomas F. Wilson's character ever going to be a lawyer or
Oh,
a doctor?
man, or a doctor? Yeah. Like these are the guys. Oh man,
Mhm.
these are the guys in the 80s that grew up, or didn't grow up, that
Yeah.
became in their later years,
Yeah.
bro podcasters.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yes, they did.
who never got out of the frat, right?
Yeah.
Who never grew up, who peaked at 22
Mhm.
at the height of their like undergraduate powers,
Yeah.
and just carried that into adulthood and are going to carry that into the sunset, and they do it with a mic in front of them.
You know, actually,
You hate them.
a brand to a new horror movie reference. It is the Dylan O'Brien character in Send Help. That's who these kids grew up to be.
Okay.
Have you seen it yet?
Interesting. I haven't seen Send Help yet.
Send Help. It's a lot of fun. Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien are great together. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I don't get to the theater a lot anymore, but my daughter really wanted to see it, so it's like, all right, let's go. The Dylan. If you have seen Send Help, that's who these guys grow up to be when they graduate.
I haven't seen it, but he sounds terrible.
He's
so for
douchey.
what that's worth.
He is,
and
so bad.
that will betray the type of podcast I don't listen to,
right?
Because
Yeah,
I don't have the stomach for it.
Again, I like we say on the Couch Critics, I'm not here to yuck your yum. If you listen to that, enjoy it, do your thing. But it's they're not talking to me though, so it's not for me. They're not talking about things I'm like. Joe Rogan, even before he became the controversial that he is now, 10 years ago when he was first starting out, I didn't listen to Joe Rogan because I'm not a UFC guy.
Yeah,
it's fine if you are, but I wasn't, so I was never in that circle. So
yeah.
I just
for sure. The interesting thing about Joe Rogan is I remember watching him way back in the day on News Radio.
News Radio, one of my favorite
back
shows.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he was great. I mean, comedic timing in that show was terrific.
Yes.
But yeah, there's a whole slew of content creators, podcasters, YouTubers that just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But so you may end
over
up
my shoulder because I actually bought the News Radio box set recently. I can't. It's not on my shelf, but that is a great show. But you're right.
It is
like,
a great
but
show.
The podcaster. I don't like the podcasts in general that try to tell me how to think, how to feel, what to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna in my podcast, in the podcast that I choose to guest on, the guests that I ask to come on our show. These are people that I want your honest opinion, but these are all people like you, Will, like me, that you can have your opinion. And if I disagree, it's cool. It's like, all right,
Cool.
man,
Yep.
I'm so glad you explained it that way because I never would have thought about it like that. So
Yep.
that's awesome. Like I watched this movie the other day. It's this really crappy parody thing from 1984 called Night Patrol. For me, it is one of the probably 3 worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It's bad, but I was putting it out there in the world. I want to know the person that liked it because I want to know what I missed. What
Sure.
did you read into this? Because I know I'm just an idiot. I'm just some dude who doesn't mind sharing his moron opinions to the public. So yeah, I don't want the guy who tells me how to think and feel and what I should like. Like what you like, people.
And
like April
be
Fool's
okay
Day.
with it. Yeah, and like April, because it is.
And like
I'm actually kind of sad that it took me this long
to
actually watch
watch. Yeah, I love that you
know.
bought it but never watched it. I love that.
I did.
I love
So I actually it was a DVD tandem with the original My Bloody Valentine.
Oh,
And so I know for sure that I had
Wow.
bought it with
And-
that movie in mind.
and My Bloody Valentine is such a different tone, a different
Yes.
feeling.
yes.
It's stark contrast of movies.
Yes, for
And
sure.
I love My
And,
Bloody Valentine, the
The
original.
original
I love
is
the
better than the remake, guys. So if
Yeah.
you've seen the remake but haven't seen the original, you're also missing out.
You are. There was
Like
something
me
about
with
those
April
early
Fool's Day.
80s, like Maniac, My Bloody Valentine. There was a different feel.
Yep.
These movies, wrong movie, but My Bloody Valentine almost feels dirty. Like it's gross. Like you're like, oh my God, this town is filthy. Like,
agreed.
When they open the box. Anyway, that's another episode altogether, right there.
I do think with that movie in mind, I do think if you enjoyed Hard Eyes from
just
a year or two ago,
yeah.
which I thought was really good, I think you might appreciate My Bloody Valentine.
Yes.
I think they're similar in some ways, not similar in other ways.
My Bloody Valentine doesn't have as much,
really
does not have any real humor. It is much more bleak.
No,
it doesn't have any of the humor, but in story type, in style, in time of year setting, because it is all about Valentine's Day and all that. It is that's a good double feature. The original My Bloody Valentine and Hard Eyes. There's your Valentine's horror double feature right there.
There you go. If and I realize we're in March now. It's March 1st, but
I don't do anything when on time.
I don't either. So like, on
Couch Critics, we try really hard to think about, okay, this episode's going to come out at this time. Are there any holidays? Are there anything special events coming up? And then all of a sudden we go like 4 weeks of recording and missed 3 holidays. I'm like, well, I guess we missed out on those. Maybe next year.
Everybody's always telling me on the Red Tree House, like, dude, you need to record like in the lead up to Halloween, the week leading into it. You need to record like a series of Halloween. And I'm like, you know, the Red Tree House is Halloween all the time. So
no, and that's the other thing is like the in Couch Critics, everything is conversational. So whatever we're talking about this week is going to end up leading into whatever we talk about next week, and we don't always know where that is. Right. All of a sudden we get to the end, we're like, God, that's a good idea. Let's talk about that next time. Now I have a week to prepare that thing. Yeah.
And sometimes they don't always align with the calendar. The days on the calendar.
They don't. No.
So well.
But
man, Josh, it's been great. This was a really great recommendation. Sometimes I'm skeptical when I get recommendations and I'm like, I don't really want to watch that one.
So for those of you out there in listener land, my recommendations was this and Night of the Creeps. They both celebrate 40. It was 1986. Their 40th anniversaries are this year. So it's like, let's do something fun from basically our childhood. Will was a little young in 1986 to be watching these. And I was a little young to be watching these. I was 7 and I was a little young to be watching these. But
I was definitely a toddler. I was 2. I wasn't even 2. I was just turning 2 a little while after.
Yeah. But I was like, let's do something like this. And when you picked April Fool's Day, I was like, all right, not the one I expected. Let's do this. This is going to be fun. And then when I found out you hadn't seen it, I was like, oh, because it could go either way because you don't expect it.
Yeah. It's true. And sometimes with 80s movies especially, it's like feast or famine.
Yes.
It's either really great and like a hidden gem that you're like, damn, I wish I'd seen this before, like this one.
Yes.
Or it's like, I can't get back the hour and 40 minutes I spent.
Or it's Return to Horror High with George Clooney. And you're like, did I watch that?
Man.
Damn it.
But I have a super special affinity for 80s horror movies that
they're my comfort. Their 80s horror movies are kind of my comfort genre, even the bad ones.
Yeah.
Because I can turn them on while I'm doing the dishes. I can turn them on while I'm cleaning house or whatever.
Yep.
And they're fine in the background. Like I said, I call them on a cold Sunday afternoon. You have soup or chili on the stove. You have this movie playing. They're just, I don't know. For me, there's something comfortable about them.
We're going to call them cozy horror.
Cozy horror. I like it.
Which seems like a, an oxymoron. Cozy horror. But, you wrap up in a blanket and sometimes you don't need to pull that blanket over your eyes.
You don't.
It's just entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Head on a pillow, just chilling out.
Love it.
So
I love cozy. I like that. Cozy horror. That's what it is now.
Cozy horror. Trademarked. I got to file a copy.
Stamp it here at the 50 minute
using cozy
time span.
If you're going to use cozy horror after this moment, 11:15 a.m. on March 1st, you have to pay me royalties.
Royalties.
Sending you
that's to Will via One Good Scare.
That's it.
There it is.
LLC Incorporated.
There you go.
Josh, tell our listeners where they can find you. Obviously, things are picking up for your YouTube channel, so I want our listeners to become your listeners as well.
We are at Couch Critics RRT. The RRT is for Real Talk because that's kind of the network. But Couch Critics RRT. We're on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok. We post content every day, multiple times a day. From clips of our favorite movies, clips of our favorite shows, trivia games, and then clips of our podcast and our whole podcast, everything. Every day something new is dropping. Check us out all over there. If you want to reach out to us because you're old school, we're at therealrealtalk@gmail.com. And then check us out. There's Couch Critics, Real Real Talk Horror Edition, and Real Real Talk Grim Edition for all your podcast needs. If you just want to hear my sultry voice talking about random stuff, come and check it out.
One of the best podcast voice in the game, I'm telling you. And the voice matters because when you only listen to audio, right. The voice is 100% of the experience.
I absolutely have a face for radio. I'm just glad my voice matches.
Listen, guys, Josh's shows are absolutely worth listening to, worth watching. Engage on social media, guys.
Come hang out.
It's kind of a different art form.
Yeah, Will and I both are I love engagement on social media. When it's film related, content related. Talk to us about what you're watching, or like tell me where you think I was wrong. Be nice about it, but tell me where you think was April Fool's Day? Did you not like it? I want to know why, because I love understanding different viewpoints. Yeah. So share with me.
For sure. And there's a difference between disagreement and trolling, right?
Yes.
So if you're a troll whose second job or maybe your only job is to sit on the internet and be a dick, do it somewhere else.
If you live in in the proverbial mom's basement, save it for yourself. Anybody else? Because I don't mind someone disagreeing with me.
For sure.
It doesn't hurt my feelings. It just allows me to be more well-rounded and understand a different point of view.
For sure.
That's how we grow.
And we do podcasts like this because we love the art form. And part of the art form is researching and understanding and learning and growing and,
Yep. That's kind of why you do that's why you do Red Treehouse. That's why I do the Grim Edition, because I'm getting into the literary horror stuff where I talk about the folk tales that formed societies. I love understanding that stuff. So come talk to us.
Definitely come talk to us. And guys, you can follow One Good Scare on social media. I always get these backwards. So if you plug this into one and it doesn't work, it definitely applies to the other. But on Instagram, I'm pretty sure it's One Scare Pod. And on TikTok, it's One Good Scare Pod. Those might be reversed. Because one of them wasn't available on one of them. But you could also find me at Red Treehouse Pod, which is the larger of the accounts. That's sort of the flagship show.
Yep.
So if you can't reach me on one or you can't find me on one, find me on the other. And super responsive to DMs. You can email me at redtreehousepod@gmail.com.
Yep.
Super responsive there. I love community building. And so I don't look at other shows, other creators as competitors. We're collaborators as long as we are in alignment. And so, so definitely reach out and
talk to us.
You can follow on my flailing YouTube account, also Red Treehouse Pod. I say flailing because I haven't put any real, true, massive effort into it, which I always think I'm going to, and then life happens. But
and it happens.
Just crossed 300 subscribers. So
got to
start somewhere.
On March 1st, as we record, we hit 1154. We gained 2 more while we were
It's awesome.
So
guys, like 2 weeks ago, they were at like 400 or 500.
400,
and so things can change quickly with good engagement.
Yep. So. And if you're a content creator out there, it really is about consistency. You do what you like to do, but be consistent with it, and your audience will find you.
That's my struggle.
Consistency.
Noted.
I wasn't calling him out on purpose, but
no. Sometimes these things are helpful though. Like I just I felt a little nudge in my ribs, so we'll take it. Josh, man, thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure. Always one of my favorite conversationalists. And guys, for you that are listening, thank you for taking the time. Don't take it for granted. And you will catch us next week on One Good Scare. Take care.